Welcome to part 4 of my movie collection. This is Sterling Rivera, and continuing on with the fourth shelf, or the fourth row of my shelves. We started the first row at the end of the last part, so now we're going to continue on. Next up is Next, which is a good movie with Nicolas Cage. I like this one, had a good idea to it. Next is Next. And then also another Next movie is The Next 3 Days, which is a pretty good movie with Russell Crowe from the director of Crash, which I am not a fan of. Paul Haggis directed it, but much better movie than Crash, in my opinion. This is a solid one. I enjoyed it. And then The Nice Guys, another Russell Crowe movie. Him and Ryan Gosling worked well together in this one. This was a pretty good one. And then the 3-movie collection of the Night at the Museum movies. The first one's definitely the best one. I think Battle of the Smithsonian is also pretty good. And Secret of the Tomb I liked. Not as good as the first two, but I liked it. It was a good, for one of Robin Williams' last movies, he was good in it. The Nightmare Before Christmas, terrific movie. I feel like I should change my rating of this movie to 5 stars because this is a terrific movie. I watched this for the first time Christmas of 2022. I did not watch it up until that point. And it's one that I definitely should have watched a long time ago because it's truly a magnificent movie. One of my all-time favorite movies. Watched this for the first time last year, and this movie I'm actually going to see on the big screen towards the end of the month, which I'm looking forward to, but No Country for Old Men. My favorite movie from the Coen brothers. Truly a magnificent movie. Cannot go wrong with. Very perfect movie. No Escape, solid movie with Owen Wilson and Pierce Brosnan. Another action movie that Owen Wilson was in, but this one's more of like a thriller. Not as good as Behind Enemy Lines, but still pretty good, and still a good role for Owen Wilson, a serious one. So, and then No Way Back, which is a good underrated action movie with Russell Crowe. I like this one. No Way Out, really good movie, directed by Roger Donaldson. I'd probably say this is his best movie he directed, but it was great to see Kevin Costner and Gene Hackman work together. This had a really good story. And then the Oceans trilogy, which the first Oceans 11 is definitely the best one. Oceans 12 and 13 are pretty good too, but 11 is definitely the best one. I've never seen Oceans 8, and I heard that they're doing another one. I'm not too sure, but we will see how that goes. I just wanted to make sure the discs in it weren't loose. Office Christmas Party, really funny Christmas comedy. I've always really liked this film. Find it underrated. And then Office Space, pretty good, funny movie. Probably Mike Judge's best film he directed aside from Beavis and Butthead Do America. One of my favorite movies, Of Mice and Men. Love this movie. My favorite version of Mice and Men. So, directed by Gary Sinise and starring Gary Sinise and John Malkovich. They were perfect in this movie. Olympus Has Fallen, really good movie. The best of the Has Fallen trilogy, without a doubt. Really good one. London Has Fallen, which is a solid sequel to Olympus Has Fallen. I enjoyed this one. I've rewatched all of these recently, actually. And then, not as good as Olympus or London Has Fallen, but Angel Has Fallen. I like this one, though. This is still good. The only one that's on 4K as well. One of my favorite Tarantino movies. Love this film. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Iconic movie, cannot go wrong with. And one of Brad Pitt's best movies. His Oscar was well deserved. His performance as Cliff Booth was magnificent. And I do know they're doing a new movie with Cliff Booth, and David Fincher is directing it. So that should be very interesting. Cannot wait for that. And then congrats to this movie for winning all the Oscars last night, one battle after another. Yes, I made the post this morning about it, and this movie definitely deserved all the awards. I love this movie. I have not watched this 4K yet, still have it sealed, but yeah, this was a masterpiece. Not my favorite movie of 2025, though. Still F1, just because I had a blast seeing that in the theaters. I wish I did see this when it first came out in theaters. Hell, even in IMAX. But this was just a perfect movie. Definitely by far my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movie. Just what more can be said about it? Excellent cast. You know, it definitely deserved Best Picture, Best Director, Sean Penn's award. You know, as cartoonish and over the top as he was pretty damn good in this movie. So, and one of DiCaprio's best films as well. But perfect movie. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Love this movie. Another perfect movie. One of Jack Nicholson's best. And then On the Rocks, which strangely enough, this got a Blu-ray release with it being an Apple film. But there's other movies from Apple that deserve, you know, a Blu-ray, like Greyhound with Tom Hanks, or the other one he did, Finch. So it's weird that like this one gets it and those two don't. So, but this was still a solid one. I thought Bill Murray and Rashida Jones had good chemistry. This is a handmade Blu-ray because this movie does not have an official Blu-ray release. But Open Range, terrific Western movie with Kevin Costner and Robert Duvall, and Kevin Costner also directed it, and he did a great job. But one of his best movies. I really enjoyed this a lot. And then this one I still have sealed, but Operation Fortune, Ruse de Guerre, I don't know how to say that. I just call it Operation Fortune. Really good movie from Guy Ritchie with Jason Statham and Audrey Plaza and Carrie Elwes. I thought they all worked really good. It's like a spy comedy film, but it was really good and underrated. I didn't get to watch this when I first had my Jason Statham marathon. I watched this right before I went and saw Shelter. So, but I really liked it. And I'd say it's my second favorite Guy Ritchie film next to Snatch. Oppenheimer, fantastic film. I don't love this movie like a lot of people do. I feel like maybe if I were to give it another watch, I would change my opinion of it. I didn't see it in the theaters, but yeah, when I have my Christopher Nolan marathon, I will rewatch this, and who knows, maybe my opinion will change. But I do think this is a fantastic movie, though. And then Orange County, really good movie with Colin Hanks, Jack Black. This has a really stacked cast. I mean, you also got John Lithgow. The girl from Snow Day is in it. I can't pronounce her name. Shulier Fisk right there. I know she's in Snow Day. Catherine O'Hara, may she rest in peace. I also know Chevy Chase is in it. Ben Stiller has a really small part in it. But really, really good cast. So, but I really like this movie. And then Outbreak, which this is getting a 4K release at the end of the month, so I'll get rid of this Blu-ray. But this is a really good movie from Wolfgang Peterson. Another great cast. Dustin Hoffman, Rene Russo, Morgan Freeman, and I think even Cuba Gooding Jr. was in this. Yes, and Donald Sutherland, Kevin Spacey, so another stacked cast. Over the Hedge, solid DreamWorks movie, which is crazy. This movie's about to be 20 years old, so I'm going to have to rewatch it pretty soon. But I enjoy this one. Really good voice cast. And then the only three movies I liked in this series, the Paranormal Activity trilogy, which the first one's the best one, but 2 is my favorite out of all of them, because that was the first one that I saw in theaters. And I always, in ways, I kind of like it more than the first one, but that's just me. And I like the third one for what it is, but I think they should have stopped after the fourth one. The fourth one was a piece of shit, though, and then the Marked one sucks, and the Ghost Dimension sucks as well. And I think they did another one for Paramount Plus, but Yeah, I know a lot of people aren't crazy about these movies, but just these three are the only ones I like. And then The Perfect Storm, really good movie from Wolfgang Peterson, George Clooney, Mark Wahlberg. I think this might be getting a 4K release. Not too sure, don't recall. I'll have to double check on that. And then this one I know is getting a 4K release, I think from Kino or Shout Factory. But Baron Hood, which I like this movie. Not as good as Cheaper by the Dozen, but I still like it. Directed by Ron Howard. And then Parker, good underrated Jason Statham movie. Him and Jennifer Lopez worked pretty well together. Nick Nolte was also good, even though he was kind of underused from what I remember, but I still like this one. This is good. And then The Patriot, terrific movie. I would say this is my favorite movie Roland Emmerich directed, and definitely one of Mel Gibson's best movies, but I really like this one a lot. And then Payback, straight up the director's cut, which only the director's cut is available on Blu-ray. I do know there is a Blu-ray from overseas, and I think it might be region free, that has both cuts of the movies, so I might look into getting that. But yeah, I do have the R-rated version on DVD. So, but hopefully maybe in the future, you know, Paramount can get off their ass and get a 4K release that has both cuts of the movie. You know, that would be nice. And now moving into the next shelf, we got Philadelphia. Terrific movie. Really sad, but really super good. I'll probably rewatch this once I finish my Denzel Washington marathon. It's one that I would like to rewatch. The Phoenician Scheme. Yeah, Phoenician Scheme. Sorry about that. The latest Wes Anderson movie. I thought this was pretty good, but not one of his best movies. I still enjoyed it. It's good to have Tom Hanks in another Wes Anderson movie. Phone Booth. This movie really surprised me. I got this as a blind buy, and I really enjoyed this film. Directed by Joel Schumacher. I would say this is one of his most underrated movies. But yeah, really surprised me just how fast-paced it was, how very intriguing and captivating it was. One of those movies that you just couldn't take your eyes off of. You just really want to see what happens next. And yeah, really good movie. Kiefer Sutherland, even though he doesn't appear until, spoiler alert, he doesn't appear until the very end. You know, just the voice that he put on for the movie was very intimidating and threatening. He was great, along with Colin Farrell and Forest Whitaker. But very good movie, and underrated. Pig, really like this movie. Really good one with Nicolas Cage. Very depressing movie, though. But still a really good one. Pineapple Express, really good, really funny stoner comedy with Seth Rogen and James Franco. Danny McBride. Really good cast in this movie. This one I still have. Yeah, actually, all of these are still sealed, but Kino Lorber is releasing the Pink Panther movies on 4K. They are coming out with the return of the Pink Panther, I believe, at the end of the month, so I'll have to pick that up. But we got the Pink Panther, which I like. Kind of slow pace, but it has funny moments. And then A Shot in the Dark, which I also like. And then The Pink Panther Strikes Again. Another good one. And then the last good one of the Peter Sellers ones, Revenge of the Pink Panther. I don't even know if, I don't recall if they re-released Trail of the Pink Panther on 4K, but that one sucks. That one's terrible. So, yeah, that Blu-ray set that I had, I'm getting rid of because, you know, it has that, and, you know, I'd rather have the movies on 4K, so. And then I have the two Steve Martin Pink Panther movies, which I think the first one's pretty good, and I like the second one. I know a lot of people don't, but I like it. So, but the first one's pretty good and funny. And then Pixels, which I like this movie. I don't think it's as bad as people made it out to be, but I like it. I like it mostly for the video game aspects. One of my favorite comedies of all time, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Love this movie. My favorite John Hughes film and my favorite Steve Martin and John Candy movie, but one to watch every Thanksgiving without a doubt. Platoon, one of my favorite war movies of all time. I'd say it's also probably my favorite Oliver Stone film, but I love this film quite a bit. Definitely my favorite Willem Dafoe movie, I'll say that. And then The Pledge, which is a good movie. I like this one, directed by Sean Penn. Underrated one, I'd say. Point Break, really good movie. I need to rewatch this. It's been a while, but I remember really liking it. And then The Polar Express, terrific Christmas movie. Tom Hanks, directed by Robert Zemeckis. Cannot go wrong with this one. Truly a magical Christmas movie is what I like to describe it as. Definitely is a magical one. Poor Things, which I think is a fantastic movie. I know some people are mixed about it, but I really enjoy it. I mean, it did get Oscars and did get a lot of praise, but I know some of my friends don't care for this one. I know it's weird and bizarre, but I really enjoy it. I'd say it's honestly probably by far my favorite Yorgos Lanthimos movie as well. This one, I think, is getting a 4K this year. Popeye, which I enjoy. Like to revisit the cartoon at some point. It's been forever since I last watched it, but Robin Williams was a really good Popeye. And then Poseidon, which I remember enjoying this film quite a bit. I think this is a remake to The Poseidon Adventure, but I do enjoy this one. This one's from Wolfgang Peterson. So, I'd like to rewatch this since the anniversary is this year. The Post, pretty good movie with Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks. Also directed by Steven Spielberg. And then Predator, terrific movie. Definitely the best of the bunch. I really enjoy this one. I like Predator 2, and Predators is decent. And I haven't seen the other ones. I might get the Predator 4K 3-film collection. But yeah, both Predator and Alien, I feel are franchises that should have just ended with the first two. You know, that's just me. Premium Rush, really good movie. Really like this one. Had a good idea to it. And then this one I got pretty recently. It's another Christopher Nolan movie, and I have not seen this one. The Prestige. So I'll be checking this out momentarily. And then double feature of Presumed Innocent and Frantic. I got this mostly for Presumed Innocent, which is a really good movie. Frantic I have not seen. I will, though. However, it'll be, the fact that even though it's a Roman Polanski movie, I'll still watch it, see if it's any good. But yeah, I really don't want to watch any other movies from Roman Polanski, because y'all should know why. Pride and Glory, solid, underrated movie with Edward Norton and Colin Farrell. Another movie I got as a blind buy, have not watched this yet. Prisoners, Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal. Looks pretty interesting, so one day I'll check this out. One of my all-time favorite movies, and one that I saw on the big screen this month, Pulp Fiction. What more can be said about this glorious masterpiece? The greatest Tarantino movie ever. And yeah, this opens up and folds out like that, but I'm not going to show it. But this is a really nice Amazon exclusive, I believe is what it was. So, Pump Up the Volume. Fantastic Christian Slater movie, one of his best. This was when he was like starting out and getting into his prime. But a very good movie that was definitely ahead of its time. But I've always really enjoyed this a lot. And then Punchline, which I like this movie. It's a good underrated one. Tom Hanks and Sally Field. And I think, yeah, John Goodman's also in it. So. And then Punch Drunk Love. Fantastic movie from Paul Thomas Anderson, Adam Sandler, and Emily Watson. It proves that Adam Sandler can definitely do drama. So. And then The Pursuit of Happiness, one of Will Smith's best movies. Really enjoy this one a lot. Terrific film. And then Quarantine, which I like. This was a good found footage movie. Jennifer Carpenter, she does a good job. This was, I believe, during the 3rd season of Dexter, maybe. But yeah, I like this one. Alright, moving over to this shelf, we got The Quick and the Dead, which is a really good, underrated Western, I'd say. Great cast, Sharon Stone, Gene Hackman, Russell Crowe, and DiCaprio. Directed by Sam Raimi. But I really like this one. And then Quick Change, pretty good comedy. Bill Murray, Gina Davis, and Randy Quaid. Enjoyed this one. It's like a crime comedy. One of my all-time favorite movies, and I would say this is my second favorite boxing movie next to $1 Million Baby. Raging Bull. Love this movie, one of De Niro's best. And this Criterion is tremendous quality-wise, especially for a black and white movie. But iconic movie. And then another favorite of mine, Rain Man. Love this movie. I would say this is my favorite Dustin Hoffman movie and one of my favorite Tom Cruise movies. But love this film. And then we get into the Rambo movies, starting with First Blood, which is probably my favorite Stallone movie. I've always loved this one. Definitely the best of the Rambo films. Cannot go wrong with. Rambo First Blood Part 2, really good sequel. This had some really good action. And like a lot of people, I would say this is my least favorite, Rambo 3. It's a good one, but I would say it's my least favorite out of all of them. Just in terms of story, but it had some good action. Rambo, aka Rambo 4, which is pretty good. I like this one more than Rambo 3. And people didn't like this one, but I personally enjoyed it. I saw it in the theater, and I thought it was fun. Rambo Last Blood, which I can see why some people didn't like it, but I thought it had a kick-ass finale. So, I can see, like, it didn't feel like a Rambo movie, but at least it had some solid action, and Stallone still gave a great performance. Ransom, really good crime thriller movie with Mel Gibson, directed by Ron Howard. Gary Sinise was a really good villain in this movie. Red, solid movie. Bruce Willis and John Malkovich, they made a great duo in this film. Morgan Freeman was also really good. And then Red 2, which I like. Not as good as the first Red, but I like it. Still had some good action and some funny moments. Red Dawn, solid war movie. I need to watch this again. It's been a while. But one of Patrick Swayze's best films, I'd say. And then Red Planet, which I like, with Val Kilmer. Good space movie. Oops, dropped it. The Relic, which I remember liking. I remember I got this Blu-ray at a pawn shop as a blind buy. I watched it, and I remember liking it, but I also don't remember a lot of it, so I need to give it another look in the future. And then Remember the Titans. Terrific football movie. One of the best football movies ever. Maybe even my favorite football movie, not gonna lie. Either this or Rudy would be my favorite football movie. Now on to the next shelf. Got Ride Along, which I personally enjoy this film. I thought Ice Cube and Kevin Hart, their chemistry, not gonna lie, reminds me of Shrek and Donkey. But I've always enjoyed this film. I thought it was fun and funny. I know most people don't like it. They think Kevin Hart's annoying, but he didn't annoy me in this movie. I always thought Kevin Hart was hilarious. And then Ride Along 2, which I also enjoy. In ways, I kind of like it more than the first movie. Just because I like the Miami setting. And they still had the good Shrek and Donkey chemistry. And Ken Jeong was also funny in the movie. But yeah, I enjoyed this one. I heard there were talks of a Ride Along 3, but it's been 10 years since the second one, so I doubt it'll happen. Righteous Kill, which I know a lot of people hate this film. I personally enjoy it just because it was great to see De Niro and Pacino come back. And you also got Brian Dennehy, John Leguizamo, Donnie Wahlberg. So pretty good cast. Definitely not as good as Heat, but I enjoy it for what it was. I think it's, in my opinion, underrated. And then we got the Scream Factory of the Ring collection, which has the 3 movies, the American Rings, that is. The first film, which is definitely the best one. And then The Ring 2, which I don't mind. I think it's decent. For the longest time, I used to like this movie more than the first film. And the last time I watched it, I thought it was decent. It has its flaws, but I don't mind it. I can deal with it. And then this one, which did not hold up on a rewatch, Rings. I remember at first I thought this one was all right, but then when I last rewatched it, I'm like, man, this sucks. But yeah, not a good movie. I only have it because it's part of the box set, so. And then we got the Criterion 4K of Risky Business. Really good movie. I believe this is the movie that got Tom Cruise pretty popular when he was starting out. And then River Runs Through It, directed by the late Robert Redford. Really good movie. And one of Brad Pitt's earliest films as well. So, a movie that used to be a favorite of mine, and I still do really enjoy this film a lot. Cult classic, Roadhouse. Cannot go wrong with good old Roadhouse. Really nice Vinegar Syndrome release. Let me open it up here for you to show you what it looks like. But yeah, really nice artwork and everything. Definitely Patrick Swayze's best film. And then this was actually handmade. Someone made this 4K, so it's not official, but it is the Roadhouse remake, which I actually liked. I thought it was a good one. Jake Gyllenhaal was really good in the movie, and it had some solid action. Conor McGregor, his acting was so laughably bad that a lot of the things he says in the movie is just quotable. I heard they are filming the sequel to this, and thankfully Conor McGregor won't be in it, which is good. But, yeah, I like this movie. I didn't think it was that bad, and it's directed by Doug Liman. They spelt his name wrong on there. S. Doug Liman. But, yeah, it's what it looks like. It just came in this 2-disc set, but just came with this disc only. It doesn't work on my PS5, but it works on my my downstairs 4K player. I tested it out, and it works. So when I rewatch this movie sometime, I will be on this. And then Road to Perdition, which I really like. This is a really good one. One of Paul Newman's last movies he was in. I remember the ending was kind of disappointing, but the rest of the movie was really good. And it was the movie that Tom Hanks did after Castaway, too. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, which is a solid Robin Hood movie. I'm not a Robin Hood guy, but I enjoy this. And this is actually from overseas, this Arrow video release, and it's the only way you can get both cuts of the movie on it. But I enjoy this movie for the cast and the look of the movie. So, one of my all-time favorite movies, RoboCop. Love this film to death. Cannot go wrong with it. Such an amazing Arrow video release. The quality is just gorgeous and just such an iconic movie. And the good and underrated sequel, RoboCop 2. Definitely not as good as the first, but I like it. Had a good story and good action. So I do think RoboCop did not need to be a franchise, but this was still a good sequel, and at least you had Peter Weller in it. And moving into this shelf, we have the 2014 RoboCop, which I know a lot of people hate this movie, but it's one that I never hated. I don't mind it. I thought it had some good action. The RoboCop outfit in this movie, I'm kind of about. But I thought the cast did a good job, had some good action, some decent effects. I didn't mind it. I've seen worse. And then one of my favorite action movies, The Rock. Love this film. I do love Con Air just a bit more, but this is still a very awesome movie. It's going to be 30 this year, which is hard to believe. And then Rock and Rolla, solid Guy Ritchie movie. Gerard Butler. Then we get the Ultimate Knockout collection of the Rocky movies, which I rewatched all these back in November. The first film, I would say, is the best. 2 is a terrific sequel. 3 has always been my favorite out of all of the Rockies. 4 is also terrific. The Rocky versus Drago cut is very disappointing. I do not recommend it at all. Rocky 5, I used to really hate, and I just chose to rewatch it just to see if it was as bad as I thought it was. It's a mediocre sequel. I used to rate it half star out of 5 on Letterboxd, and now it's a 2 out of 5. It's mediocre. It's not very good. Definitely the weakest out of the Rockies, but I don't hate it like I once did. And then Rocky Balboa, which is a terrific 6th entry. But yeah, really nice 4K box set. And then get Creed. Terrific first entry in the trilogy. Really enjoy this a lot. And then my favorite of the trilogy, Creed 2. Terrific movie. I thought this one was more powerful and emotional than the first one. And then Creed 3, which this one was also terrific. It's cool to see Michael B. Jordan have his directorial debut in this one. And, you know, even though it doesn't have Stallone in it, it was still a terrific one. And then Role Models, really good, funny comedy. Sean William Scott and Paul Rudd. I like this one quite a bit. And then a Denzel Washington movie I have not watched, Roman J. Israel ESQ. Never seen this one, but I think did he direct it? Oh, it's from the director of Nightcrawler, but I know some of the Denzel Washington movies I got, a couple of them, he actually directed himself. I don't know if it was The Great Debaters or Fences, one of those, but yeah, another one I'll be checking out pretty soon. Ronin, fantastic action movie with De Niro. Shows that he can definitely do action. But I've always really enjoyed this film. And then Rounders, fantastic movie with Matt Damon and Edward Norton. John Malkovich was also great, and his accent was really funny in this movie. But I've always really liked this one. Roxanne, which I remember this being a pretty good movie with Steve Martin and Daryl Hannah. Solid romantic comedy. And having some funny moments. Royal Tenenbaums, fantastic Wes Anderson movie. Really like this a lot. It has a stacked cast, and this is like the first Wes Anderson movie to have an excellent cast. So. And then 4K Steelbook 30th Anniversary Edition of Rudy. Which, yeah, like I said, either this or Remember the Titans would be my favorite football movie. But really enjoy this movie a lot. And this is the only way to get the movie in 4K. So. And then Rules of Engagement. which is a solid and underrated movie with Tommy Lee Jones and Samuel L. Jackson. They worked really well together. They did do another movie that I watched not too long ago. I already forgot the name of it. It's on HBO Max. That one's I enjoy, but I would say I like this one a little bit more though. So, and then the last shelf of this row, we got Run All Night and Unknown double feature. Run All Night was pretty good, and I liked Unknown. Unknown, I think, could have been a little bit better, but I still liked it for what it was. But a good Liam Neeson double feature. And then Running with the Devil with Nicolas Cage and Lawrence Fishburne. I remember liking this one. Only seen it once, though. The Rush Hour trilogy, which I have not seen any of these movies, shockingly. I got this as a blind buy, so I would like to check these movies out at some point. But yeah, I haven't seen any of them. Rushmore, which I would actually say this is my least favorite Wes Anderson movie, but I still like it. It's still good. And then Sacrifice, which is a decent direct-to-video movie with Cuba Gooding Jr. and Christian Slater. I didn't mind it. Safe, really good Jason Statham movie. This one has some really good action. And then another Denzel Washington movie I haven't watched yet. Safe House. This one's still sealed, but with him and Ryan Reynolds. I'll be checking this out pretty soon. Salt, which I enjoy. It's a solid action movie with Angelina Jolie. And then Saving Mr. Banks, which is a fantastic movie. Emma Thompson and Tom Hanks. Really enjoy this one. Tom Hanks, I thought, was very great as Walt Disney. And then, one of my all-time favorite movies, and in my opinion, the greatest war movie ever made, Saving Private Ryan. Love this film to death. Cannot go wrong with it. Truly an iconic movie. Saving Silverman, which I like this movie. I watched this for the first time back in January, and I liked it. And yeah, it's funny, Jack Black and Steve Zahn, this was the first time they worked together, and then years later, they would work together in the new Anaconda movie. So, but I like this movie, and this movie actually has the R-rated version. So, but it had some funny moments. Now we get into the Saw movies, starting with the first film, which is the best one. Really enjoy this film a lot. I know the Saw movies are not for everyone, but I really enjoy them because of the investigation aspects, the twists, and yes, the traps. I think they get really creative. So, and then these next three I got while I was on my break, and I still have them sealed. But these are seal books from, I believe, Lionsgate Limited. But Saw 2, which is my favorite of the bunch. This is the first Saw movie I watched, and I've seen it the most out of all of them, but I've always really liked this one a lot. And then Saw 3, which is a really good one as well. I do agree this should have been the last one, but the ones that came after this I still enjoy. Saw 4, which I actually find this one to be kind of underrated, because Darren Lynn Bousman, who directed 2 and 3, also directs this one, and it was the last one that had Donnie Wahlberg in it. So, but I enjoy this one for what it is. Alright, now we are on the 5th row, and I'm also sitting on the floor now, so, but continuing on with the Saw movies. Saw 5, which I would actually say is my least favorite out of all of them, because it kind of felt like a rehash of Saw 2, but I like it. And then Saw 6, which is really good. I enjoy this one quite a bit. And then Saw the Final Chapter, which I like. I know a lot of people hated this one or think it's the worst, but I like it for what it is. I wish I got to see it in 3D, because it did have some good 3D aspects to it. Jigsaw, which I thought was a pretty good prequel and sequel. Remember, this was the first Saw that I saw in theaters. Saw. But I enjoy this one. And then Spiral, which I enjoy. This is cool to see Chris Rock in this one. Him doing a more serious role. But I enjoyed this. And then Saw X, which I really liked. I thought this was really good and really well done. A lot of people say this is the best Saw since the first film. Not sure about that. Probably the best since Saw 6, in my opinion. But this was a really good one that went in a different direction. There is talks of another Saw movie, so we'll see what happens with that. One of my all-time favorite movies, cannot go wrong with this one, Scarface. Love this film a lot. Say hello to my little friend. Exactly. Super peak movie. Then we got triple feature of Scary Movie 1, 2, and 3, which the first film's the best one, and I like 2 and 3 as well. And then I also have Scary Movie 4, which this is actually my favorite of the sequels, because this one was the first one that I saw. I've seen it the most out of all of them. So, I've always liked this one. I've always thought it had some really funny moments. Scary Movie 5 is a complete piece of shit. And then Scary Movie 6 kind of looks promising, not gonna lie. School of Rock, love this movie. I rewatched this at the beginning of January, and this is my favorite Jack Black movie. Super, super good movie. Shows how good of a rock star Jack Black is. The Score, solid and underrated heist movie with Robert De Niro and Edward Norton. I thought they worked pretty well together in this one. Now we get into the Scream series, starting with my all-time favorite horror movie, the first film. Love this movie to death. I've seen it countless times. It never gets old. Scream 2, really good follow-up. I would say this or the sixth film would be my favorite of the sequels. But really enjoy this one. Scream 3, which I find this one to be underrated. I don't think it's as bad as some made it out to be, but I enjoy it. Scream 4, which I read that this is getting a 4K in June, so I'll definitely get that. This one has always been my least favorite, but I enjoy it because it has my least favorite killer reveal. And then Scream 5, I'm not calling it Scream, it's Scream 5. I don't know why the fuck they couldn't just call it Scream 5. So, I mean, they could put the Roman numeral for 5 in the M. So, but I enjoy this one. Other than the particular character that gets killed in a stupid way, I enjoy this one. And then Scream 6, which I really liked. I thought this went in a great direction. Enjoyed this one quite a bit. Yeah, it's either 2 or 6 would be my favorite of the sequels. And I personally enjoyed Scream 7. I know a lot of people aren't liking it, but I enjoyed it. Scrooged, solid and funny Christmas movie with Bill Murray. Seabiscuit, terrific movie with Tobey Maguire. One of his best non-Spider-Man movies. Secretariat, I probably butchered that wrong, but this was a pretty good horseback riding movie. Diane Lane, John Malkovich. It's funny, it's next to Seabiscuit as well. They go hand in hand. Serial Mom, in my opinion, John Waters' best movie. Proof that he can at least direct a good movie, aside from the piece of shit that's Pink Flamingos. But I enjoy this one. Solid dark comedy. One of my all-time favorite movies, Seven. Love this film a lot. Has one of the most shocking endings in any movie ever, but super iconic film. 7 Pounds, great movie with Will Smith, one of his best dramas, I'd say. Shallow Hal, pretty good and funny movie with Jack Black and Gwyneth Paltrow. I'd say it does have some laughs here and there. I wouldn't say it's very funny or laugh out loud hilarious, but I enjoy this mostly for the heart the movie has, the message. So, but this is a solid movie. The Shallows, really enjoy this film. Solid and entertaining shark movie. Double feature of Shanghai Noon and Shanghai Nights. I really like Shanghai Noon, and Shanghai Nights is pretty good, but I'd say I like Noon more. But Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson, I thought they worked pretty well together in these movies. And then one of the greatest movies of all time, The Shawshank Redemption. What more can be said about this glorious masterpiece? Another peak movie, and yet another peak movie, The Shining, which I actually saw this in IMAX in December, and it was an incredible experience. But my second favorite Kubrick film next to Full Metal Jacket. And then Shooter, fantastic movie with Mark Wahlberg. Antique Fuga, probably butchered his name wrong. Yeah, he directed this. Very good one. Signs, which is in my opinion M. Night Shyamalan's best movie. Yes, I like this more than The Sixth Sense and Unbreakable, but I've always really liked this one. Another peak iconic movie, The Silence of the Lambs. Love this film a lot. This is actually my mom's favorite movie, and it's getting re-released in theaters in next month actually, so I'm definitely going to see that. 16 Candles, which I like this movie. It's not one of John Hughes' best films, but I like it. And then Sleepers, which is a solid movie. This is also getting a 4K release next month, so I'm definitely going to pick that up. But another really good one. Alright, moving over to the next shelf, we got Sleepless in Seattle, which I like this movie. I would say this or You've Got Mail are the best ones of the Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan trilogy, but I like this one. Double feature of two Billy Bob Thornton movies that I have not seen, but Sling Blade and Monsters Ball. Yeah, I haven't seen either or of these movies, but I would like to watch them at some point. Snake Eyes, a good underrated movie with Nicolas Cage. Another movie where Gary Sinise plays a bad guy. This is a good one. Brian De Palma directed it too. I keep forgetting that. Snatch, really good movie, directed by Guy Ritchie. Cannot go wrong with this one. Snow Dogs, which I like. I don't think it's that bad, and I believe this was James Coburn's last movie. But I like this one. It has some good fun to it. Sonic the Hedgehog, really good startup to the franchise. Enjoyed this one quite a bit. And then Sonic 2, which I like even more than the first film, because with the addition of Tails and Knuckles, it just made it super fun. Really enjoyed this one. And then, of course, the best of out of all of them, Sonic 3. Really enjoyed this one a lot. This was an incredible experience in the theater. 4K steelbook of Southpaw, which I still have sealed. But this is a really good boxing movie. It is depressing, but it's also really good. I enjoyed this quite a bit. Spaceballs, which I need to rewatch this movie. I haven't seen it since 2017, but I remember this being a pretty funny Star Wars parody. Directed by Mel Brooks. Space Jam, classic movie. Always enjoyed this one. I like this more than Looney Tunes Back in Action. Sorry, not sorry. I've hated that. I hate that movie. I liked it for a little bit, but then I realized it sucks. But that's just me. The Specialist, which I have not seen. Got this as a blind buy. I'd like to check this out at some point. One of my favorite action movies of all time, Speed. Love this film to death. My favorite Keanu Reeves movie as well. Pop quiz, Hot Shot. And then we got the 3-film collection of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans, which the first Spider-Man is terrific. Spider-Man 2 I love, one of my favorite superhero movies. And then Spider-Man 3 I enjoy, but let me show all of them. Here's the first Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2, love that picture right there. And then Spider-Man 3, which I enjoy. I don't think it's that bad. And then I have the Andrew Garfield ones, which I enjoy. The first Amazing Spider-Man, I think it's pretty good. And I like the second one. It's not as good, but I like it. And then we get the Tom Holland ones. Spider-Man Homecoming, which I think is really good. And then Spider-Man Far From Home, which I also think is really good. And then the all-time greatest, Spider-Man No Way Home. Terrific one. I'm glad I got to see this in theaters. I saw the more fun edition, the extended version, so I do look forward to the next one that's coming out. It should be really interesting. Spy, really good and funny action comedy with Melissa McCarthy and Jason Statham. I enjoy this one quite a bit. Spy Game, pretty good, underrated Tony Scott film. Robert Redford and Brad Pitt, they worked really well together. This was actually the first movie I saw of Robert Redford's. Stand By Me, love this movie. I consider this to be Rob Reiner's greatest movie. And probably also my favorite Kiefer Sutherland movie. But yeah, I love this film quite a bit. Starsky and Hutch, underrated action comedy. Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson. I've never seen the Starsky and Hutch show, but I do enjoy this movie. Then we get into the Star Wars movies, which I have them in episode order. The Phantom Menace, which I liked. I didn't like it at first, but then it grew on me. I think once it gets to the racing part of the movie is when the movie gets good and entertaining. So, my least favorite Star Wars movie, Attack of the Clones. I think it's decent, but definitely has its issues. But I don't mind it. And then definitely the best of the prequels, Revenge of the Sith. Really good one. And then the 3 peak ones, Star Wars, which I am not calling it Episode 4 A New Hope, but it's just Star Wars. But love this film. Phenomenal beginning. And then the all-time greatest Star Wars film, The Empire Strikes Back. I Am Your Father. Love it a lot. And then Return of the Jedi, which I love. Perfect conclusion to the original trilogy. And then the sequel trilogy, we got The Force Awakens, which I think is definitely the best of these sequels. I really enjoy this one a lot. This was the first Star Wars movie I saw in theaters, and it's actually what got me into Star Wars, not gonna lie. But I just only care about the movies. I never got into the shows of Star Wars. The Last Jedi, which I know a lot of people hated, but I enjoy it for what it was. And same with this one, Rise of Skywalker, which I enjoyed this one for what it was. Both of them had some really good moments to them, in my opinion. Alright, and then the last shelf that I'm going to show for this part, Rogue One, which I like this one. This one I initially didn't like, but when I rewatched it, I'm like, it's good, but it's not great. So, and then I personally find this to be better than Rogue One, Solo. But this is a fantastic movie. I really enjoy this one. I think Emilia Clarke, I felt, was the best character in the movie. I really liked her as Kira. And then a double feature of Vertical Limit and Stealth, which I like Stealth. I don't think it's as awful as people made it out to be. I like it. And Vertical Limit I also like too. It's definitely much better than Extreme Ops, I'll say that. But both are good movies. This is a double feature I still have sealed. Step Brothers, which I enjoy. I do find this to be a little overrated. I don't think it's one of the greatest comedies ever, but I enjoy it. It has its funny moments. I like it more for John C. Reilly, to be honest. Stillwater, which I remember this being a good movie with Matt Damon. Not a great one, but a good one. Stolen, which I like this movie. It's another one of those movies where it's like not the most original film, but I like it for what it is. Nicolas Cage, directed by Simon West, the director of Con Air. One of my all-time favorite movies, and probably my favorite biopic, Straight Outta Compton. Love this film to death. Super damn good. Super iconic. Another favorite of mine, one of my favorite comedies, Stripes. Love this movie a lot. So funny. Cannot go wrong with it. I'll show you the real case. It's hitting its anniversary this year, 45th, so I'll definitely rewatch it. Superhero movie, which I like this movie. I know a lot of people don't, but I think it had some funny moments. Had a good cast. So I like this for what it is. Double feature of SWAT and Basic. I think SWAT is pretty good, and I like Basic. Basic is basically 10 years after John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson did Pulp Fiction. And I liked it for what it was. Directed by John McTiernan, too, which was nice. Switchback, which I got this for Christmas, actually, and I still have it sealed. But pretty good and underrated thriller movie with Dennis Quaid and Danny Glover. I enjoyed this one. Swordfish, which I enjoy. This is a pretty good movie. And then Taken, which is the best out of all of them, definitely. Fantastic movie. One of Liam Neeson's best. I enjoy Taken 2, and I like Taken 3, but the first film's easily the best. Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3, which I know this is a remake, but I think this is a pretty good one. Directed by Tony Scott. Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby, which I enjoy this one. In my opinion, I like this a little bit more than Step Brothers, not gonna lie. I think Will Ferrell's a little funnier in this movie than he was in Step Brothers. Love this movie a lot. I saw this on the big screen back in September. Taxi Driver. You talking to me? But yeah, iconic movie. What more can be said about it? Team America World Police, which is a fantastic puppet movie from the creators of South Park. Tears of the Sun, which I'd like to rewatch this. It's been like 7 years since I last watched it, but very good movie from the director of Training Day, Antique Fuga. So, and then I got Ted, which is the 4K Shout Factory or Shout Studios release. Hilarious comedy. And then I only have this just for Ted 2. But yeah, Ted 1 and 2, Thunder Buddies collection. Hopefully Ted 2 gets a 4K release, because this came out 2024, so hopefully, yeah, Ted 2 does get a 4K release. And then these movies I'm actually going to rewatch this week, since the second movie's anniversary is coming up. But the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles trilogy, which is the Arrow Video 4K release. But the first two I really like. The third film I remember was a piece of shit, but I'll rewatch it just to see if it holds up, which I doubt it will. So, I'm not a big Ninja Turtles guy, but I do enjoy the movies. Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny, which is hilarious. Really enjoy this film. Super funny. Christopher Nolan movie I have not watched yet. Tenet. I'll be checking this out momentarily. And then The Terminal, which is a terrific and underrated Steven Spielberg movie. And then The Terminator. Love this movie. Iconic action sci-fi movie. And then Terminator 2, which I love just a smidge more than the first. Another iconic movie. And then Terminator 3, which I like. Kind of an underrated sequel. It's one that didn't have to be made, but I liked it for what it was. That Thing You Do, which is a good one that is written and directed by Tom Hanks. I like this one. Thelma and Louise, the Criterion Collection. Fantastic movie from Ridley Scott. Really enjoyed this. Saw it for the first time last year. And the last one that I'm going to show for this part, There's Something About Mary. Really good and really funny comedy movie from the Farrelly Brothers. So that is going to be it for this part of my movie collection. Really hope you guys enjoyed. In the next part, I will finish off showing all my movies. The rest of my 4Ks and Blu-rays, I'll show the animated movies on 4K and Blu-ray, and then all of my DVDs. So stay tuned for the final part. With that being said, I am Sterling, and I will see you guys later. Peace out. Bye-bye.